McMahon, our buddy on the Democratic side. He's a strategist. Todd Harris, our buddy on the Republican side. Gentlemen, it's great to have you. Let me start with Todd Harris about this game change in your side. If you're going to pick for the perfect opponent to go against Barack Obama when the economy is tanking, is that Romney the businessman? If you're looking for the perfect candidate to go after when the economy's getting a little better, do you just go after the street fighter who will beat him up, and on the way to beating him up, beat him? Todd Harris.
Well, I think that's going to be the big question going forward. With the economy in such bad shape, Mitt Romney's really been able to ride his business experience, saying what Washington needs is someone who has this kind of experience, who can turn the economy around. And if come January, there's no reason to think things are going to turn around dramatically between now and then. But if Republicans are looking for a problem solver, a guy that's going to roll up his sleeves, they're probably going to look to Romney. If suddenly they think that the economy might be getting better and what they want is someone with big ideas, they're going to probably look to Newt. But as of right now, you know, I'm a fan of both. But I think given the dynamics, I still think Romney's in the driver's seat. Let me go to Steve McMahon on the Democratic side. You're looking at this across the aisle, Steve. I see Newt coming up, and I see him coming up because he will punch the president in the face. He'll be much more aggressive in a debate. He'll be snarky, obnoxious. He'll be offensive, but he will put on a better show if you want a real fighter, a gladiator, than Romney, who looks like a gentleman compared to Gingrich. Steve.
Yeah, he looks like a Ken doll, and you're absolutely right, Chris. Newt Gingrich, you know, he's famous for his hyperbolic rhetoric, bold, radical, transformational change, and you know, you can see from the polling data, and you could see this for a long time now, that the Republican primary electorate, for some reason, isn't warming to Mitt Romney. He's been at 23, 24, 25 consistently, and now the next alternative to Romney, Newt Gingrich, who's a true conservative, who has won before, who the Republicans know and like, and I think he won't wear well, but he's wearing well right now, and he might wear well enough so that Mark McKinnon will be proven right. I think Newt Gingrich could very well be the nominee of the Republican Party.
You know, Todd, we're looking at a picture of a very handsome candidate here. I mean, in many ways, you could say he's the archetypical presidential candidate, Mitt Romney. Look at this guy. But even there's something about him that doesn't quite click. Even when he, quote, rolls up his sleeves, he keeps the collar right and the tie perfect and the hair perfect. It's like he's been told, roll up your sleeves, but he doesn't show that body English of a guy who's really out there sweating and fighting like a real club fighter. I know you're going to defend him here, but try to see it my way. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. It looks to me like Newt is moving into the front of this debate, and Romney is fading. And it's not just Time Magazine with its cover that says, why don't they like me, that's fading.
I think there is no question. I will readily concede that Mitt Romney doesn't always do the best connecting on a personal level with people, but neither did Barack Obama in 2008, and neither has President Obama over the last several years. So I don't think ultimately that is going to be the most important criteria in terms of winning. If the economy is in the tank a year from now and people don't feel like it's getting better, they don't feel like President Obama is leading the country in any discernible direction, they're going to look to a problem solver, and that is what Romney has built his entire campaign around, and so far I think it's been pretty effective.
Okay, so we know the distinction here, the argument. Let's take a look at Mitt Romney's latest ad. It touts his business credentials again, his main selling point in his bid to be president. Here's a part of the ad. Let's watch.
I spent my life in the private sector. I've competed with companies around the world. I've learned something about how it is that economies grow. The right answer for America is to stop the growth of the federal government and to start the growth of the private sector.
Well, I think we might have another division on our hands. Just quickly, show of hands. Steve, do you think the nominee is going to be Newt or Mitt?
Right now, I think it's going to be Newt unless Mitt picks up his game and starts actually engaging.
Todd, who's the nominee likely to be from this day forward?
Well, Newt's making a hell of a comeback, but if I had to bet right now, my money would still be on Romney.
Let's take a look at the new rule of politics. I want you to start here again as well, Todd. The traditional rules of politics are being rewritten in this presidential cycle. It's been said today in the New York Times. Jeff Zeleny, a hell of a writer, puts it this way. In what is shaping up as a profound change in American politics, the living room stops and the cafe visits where candidates offer handshakes and make appeals for support are creeping toward extinction. It's been 5 decades since television began to transform presidential races, but never before have the effects of cable television been so apparent in the early stages of campaign. The latest sign can be found in the resurgence of Newt Gingrich. Now, my question to you, and we talked it over with our producers today, gentlemen. If only 2 or 3 million watch a debate, or 5 million on Fox, a Republican debate, their sort of home court, the viral nature of the clips, the way they get around the bad moment, the flubs, the screw-ups, let's talk about it, Todd. It seems to be so exponential, so explosive. You can lose a campaign, it seems, in one bad night with 500,000 people watching.
As we've seen over the course of the past year, you can lose your campaign in one night and then find it again the next day and recover and go on to a second act. I think there's no question that the technological advances have made some significant changes, but I think what is equally important and what is missing from that conversation is the fact that for Republican voters, this election is a referendum about the very direction of the country. This election is about big things. And it used to be that you'd go to Iowa and you'd talk about ethanol, and you'd go to New Hampshire and you'd talk about the Northeast Dairy Compact and all these things that meant a lot to the local voters. All of those issues seem really, really small in comparison to the big questions that we're talking about right now.
Your thoughts, Steve? The same thing, same assumption? It's the big issues as well as the big screen, the big tube.
Well, it's the big issues, but it is a big screen. And, you know, I was there during the Dean campaign when cable television, after he gave his Iowa victory speech, played that 700 times the next week, and there was a 20-point lead in New Hampshire that evaporated almost overnight. John Kerry saw it over time with the Swift boat. So the Scream speech. John Kerry saw it with the Swift boats in 2004. And, you know, Rick Perry can tell you all about how one moment in a debate on television repeated 150 or 200 or 500 times can take your campaign down because it's taken his down. This is the first time, though, Chris, I think, that cable television has actually brought somebody back from the dead, which is really what's happened with Newt Gingrich here. It's been a remarkable transformation, and it's been solely on the power of his debate performance. He's been very, very effective in the debates. I don't agree with what he's saying, but the Republican base sure likes it, and you can see it in his numbers today.
Well, I'd have to say that resurrection has never looked so unappealing. Anyway, thank you very much, Steve McMahon and Todd.